has just ended, and I'm not sure if I got traded to the Padres or not. I don't know if you did either, but we're doing this live, folks. We were doing a live Locked On MLB trade rumors are no longer rumors, trade deadline show. It's live, folks. I have about 715,000 guests. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Let's get this started.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to the Locked On MLB live stream covering the trade deadline aftermath. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. It is the second day of August 2022, and everything under the sun has been traded in the last couple of minutes, and we've got a whole bunch of Locked On MLB podcast hosts who are jumping aboard to give their, well, let's just face it, their first impressions, because who the hell knows who really won the trade deadline? But I'll be that annoying guy. No one thought Jorge Soler and Rosario would be the big deals. But you know what? There's a ton of trades that went around, including a franchise player who was traded in a deal involving the San Diego Padres. Yes, I'm talking about Eric Hosmer being traded to the Boston Red Sox. Hey, let's bring on board the first batch because we're going to have a rotation of them coming through. And they're all on a pitch count. Ladies and gentlemen, Locked On Cardinals, JD Heffron, are you there? Welcome to our Brady Bunch.
I'm here, Sully. What's up, brother?
Friend of the podcast and host of the perennial pennant contenders, Locked On Pirates, it's Ethan Smith.
What's up, guys?
And it's been a long time since this next guest has been on the show. It's been hours since we've had Stacey Gotsoulias from Locked On Yankees on the show. Welcome back, Stace.
Been a long time.
Okay, I don't want to get in trouble with ASCAP and singing anything that we can't afford. That will cost us even more than a few Built Bars. Hey, everyone. I think the trade deadline's over.
All right. Well, Sully just got traded to Locked On Padres. That happened, I guess. So, yeah. Everybody's been traded to the Padres. I think that's been the recap of the trade deadline. Of course, JD and my team made a trade together, which was the only trade that my team made. But, Stacey, since you're here, the Yankees have decided they wanted to get on the Padres train and add everything. So what are your thoughts on what the Yankees have also done so far?
So far, so good. There's a rumor going around that they may be acquiring Pablo Lopez from the Marlins. I saw John Heyman tweet that about 10 minutes ago. We'll see if that happens because the trade deadline is in approximately 12 minutes. But I wanted a starter. I wanted at least one reliever, and they did better than that. So I'm pretty happy with what they did.
And JD, your team decided Dylan Carlson is too important for Juan Soto. So what are we thinking there?
We're pretty disappointed, to be honest with you, when you got one of the biggest fish out there dangled in front of you, and you have the pieces that allegedly could have landed him, and then that doesn't happen, and then nothing happens after that. We haven't seen anything since the trade with the Pirates last night. It's a disappointing day for Cardinal fans.
It is. I also am trying to run this show while Sully is just gone.
I don't know how you just became the host all of a sudden, but
you're
doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, I don't know. And I also can't call people up because it doesn't give me the option. So I guess we're just running this.
Hey,
Sully is back.
Sorry, everyone.
Thank the Lord, because I did not know what I was doing.
I got booted, and here we are. I'm sorry, folks. And yes, my name is not Luke. It's actually Sully. But hey, here we go. Yes, it's strange. I'm sorry, folks who were watching the live stream. There you go. I guess the Juan Soto trade crashed this live stream.
Yes,
so
it did.
what is everyone's thoughts about Soto being landing in San Diego? Let's start with you. Our illustrious host of Locked On Cardinals, Mr. JD Heffron. What did you think? Because I thought he was going to St. Louis.
We thought maybe there was a chance he could
And we
land in
can't hear
St.
you.
Louis. You can't hear me? Hello?
I can.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
This is
I'll just keep talking because apparently Sully's the only one who can't hear me. Anyway, we thought there was a slim chance that he could land in St. Louis, and a lot of us were hoping. We knew that it wasn't something that our GM John Mozeliak would normally do. It wasn't a Cardinal move to go out and give up a bunch of pieces to go get somebody. But Juan Soto is different. He's a different type of player. He would have brought a lot of excitement to a team that has just kind of dragged along throughout the season. We thought things were going to be better. No Jack Flaherty. You got the Mats injury. So everybody wanted to get pitching. But when you have somebody like Soto available, it's hard not to just go get him. And if Dylan Carlson was the reason why that you didn't make that trade, wow, no pressure on Dylan Carlson, I guess, to go ahead and perform like a Juan Soto for the rest of his career. I get that he's a good player, and I get that he plays center field, and Bader's out right now, but I mean, it's Juan Soto. And the more as we got closer to the deadline, the more I was on board with just go ahead, give it up, man. Go ahead, get Carlson, give him Walker, give him Gorman, go for it. Do something for once that is a little bit ballsy instead of just hoping that you sneak into the wild card at some point and maybe you get lucky like you did in 2011 and win a World Series. But now nothing has happened. And I give the Padres all the credit in the world, man. They decided, you know what, we're going for it. They gave up the pieces and they added other guys as well. So kudos to them for going all in.
All righty. Well, I really hope everyone heard him because I can't. But it looked like you made some great points there, and I agree with most of what you said. This is we have our technical issues here and everything like that. But Ethan Smith, can you say one word to me? Just one word to me.
What's up, Sully? That was 3 words, but can't hear me either.
Sully's got nothing.
Oh, no.
I think, hear me out, Locked On MLB fans, we should restart and figure out these technical issues as the trade deadline hits in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can hear Stacy very well.
Oh, no.
So I can hear one person at a time. I'm pleased about that. I think this is once again, I'm happy. Give me an idea what Ethan said, Stacy.
Ethan said, "What's up, Sully?" That's what he said.
Literally what I said.
Yep.
Okay. Now Stacy, repeat everything I
Stacey,
said.
And that's
I cannot repeat everything JD said, but the gist was the Cardinals should have done everything they could to get Juan Soto, and the fact that they didn't puts more pressure on the kids that they didn't trade for him to perform more like Juan Soto during their career. Is that the gist? That was the gist.
Is that the gist? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
You know, that's.
By the way, we got breaking news. Phillies getting Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah.
That just happened.
Too bad Sully can't hear that news, JD.
Sully,
I can do sign language, maybe.
Sully, the Phillies got Noah Syndergaard.
Well, hopefully they also acquired a time machine, sending them back to 2015, where that deal will be really, really effective for the Philadelphia Phillies. JD, I'm going to actually put you in the bullpen. Hopefully
Okay.
It's an issue with you, but the fact of the matter, I can only hear Stacy is I'm finding to be somewhat problematic. But hey,
Most people would agree. Yes.
But I'm gonna put JD in the bullpen. Hey, Jeff Snyder, who's saying, please call me Jeffy. Jeffy, how you doing, buddy?
Can you hear me, Sully?
I hear you great.
All right.
I hear you fantastic. So, Ethan, you know what? Ethan, here's what I'm going to do. Ethan?
He's gone.
Ethan,
Yep.
come back to me. I can hear you
Yep.
now. And
Oh,
you know what?
great.
Actually,
I was
Ethan,
going to say,
but-
Sully can only hear the big market teams now.
You know what? Here we go. Actually, Ethan, I'm going to put you in the bullpen for a second because Josh Neighbors is here. He has limited amount of time. and the Cleveland Guardians did not acquire Juan Soto. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I am well. How are you guys?
I can hear you. I can truly hear you. Okay, it's starting to work out just fine. Josh, tell us about your thoughts here. And I'm looking through the tracker here. What the heck did Cleveland do? Did they do anything?
Josh is
I'm
the
not
Nats,
sure why
man.
you're asking me about Cleveland.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
I host the Locked On Nationals podcast.
You're right.
they do
I
anything?
apologize. Josh, I apologize. I'm a little flustered trying to get everyone's sound. Well, no big trades happened with the Nationals though, so I guess we're just gonna leave it at that. Nothing big happened in there.
No, a quiet day for the worst team in the
Quiet
league.
day. Josh, by the way, I'm really sorry.
It's all good.
I was Josh from Josh Neighbors of Cleveland there, and I just clicked on you there. Please forgive me. So the Nationals made a minor trade. I think the biggest name in there was James Wood. So what have you thought about picking up James Wood for a young outfielder who hasn't done much?
Yeah, he's part of the trade for Juan Soto. Very exciting.
And Josh Bell.
Josh Bell, yeah. Josh Bell is going to be a huge piece for them playing first base. Yes, for the Padres. So yeah, I think the Nationals had to make the move. They made the move, right? I mean, talk about timing for them. It sounded like Mike Rizzo believed that they were not able to re-sign Juan Soto, and so what they did was they maximized his trade value. I think he's going to hit the free agency market in 2.5 years. And so the Nationals said, hey, we can't do it. We cannot re-sign him. Fractured relationship, all that stuff. Also a really bad team. So they tried to get the most they could. I actually think that you were right. I think the Cardinals definitely could have offered more, but for some reason they were clutching their pearls and didn't want to give up certain guys. When you're trading for, Juan Soto, everybody's on the table. And you acting like it's not is going to hurt you. And I think it'll cost the Cardinals in the end because the Padres, their aggression will pay off. I think the Cardinals sitting on their hands is going to hurt them.
I think I made the point on Locked On today that most of the prospects that they're trading to get Juan Soto are roughly the same age as Juan Soto. There isn't a single number one prospect in anybody's organization that isn't worth Juan Soto. 3 years of Juan, even if he walks, 3 pennant races with Juan Soto in his prime, motivated, is worth anybody's number one prospect. And I can't believe the Cardinals didn't make a run at him. But hey, good for San Diego. Are you happy with this haul as a Washington fan?
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have gotten a better major league player than Luke Voit. I think if they asked for Jake Cronenworth and said we'll walk if you don't give it to us, I think the answer would have been okay, we'll give him to you. I think that's the kind of the spot that the Nationals were in. I mean, they could have gotten an extra guy. So, I think with the prospects, you got to be pretty happy. Mackenzie Gore, obviously, left-handed pitcher, is going to be good to watch soon. CJ Abrams as well, shortstop. He'll be up in the league here pretty soon as well, just because she got option AAA. So we'll see him here in the relative future, and then a bunch of guys who they'll see down the line. So they have a bad farm system, and they need help at literally every position that is not catcher. So this trade does satisfy a lot of those needs.
Well, look at Josh. Thanks for hopping on. I'm going to try to bring back JD because we have some breaking news here. So, Josh, I'm going to bid farewell to you. Thanks for jumping on board there. Sorry, I mixed you up with the other Josh for a second.
Worries.
But hey, we're going to try JD again because breaking news. JD, say something.
Hey, Sully, I'm here again.
That's what you sound like.
Woo!
Well, guess what? You have a voice because you are involved in a trade with Stacey Gotsulias's Yankees. Let's hear it, folks. Was it Montgomery for
Harrison Bader?
Harrison Bader.
An injured Harrison Bader. Stacey, tell me about Jordan Montgomery. Tell me something other than left-handed, right?
Yes, left-handed. His last couple of starts have been kind of rough, but there was a stretch there where the Yankees did not score for him at all, and he was perfectly fine. He just seems to have hit a bit of a wall because it's, August and that happens. But I like this move for you guys, and I have a soft spot for Jordan Montgomery, and I think he could be a really good piece in a pitching staff. So I'm shocked by this move right now. I was not expecting this at all.
No, nor was I with Harrison Bader being a key cog in the outfield. in a boot right now, a walking boot. He's dealing with that plantar fasciitis and is likely out till September. But amazing defense, Gold Glove defense. Kind of hit or miss when it comes to the bat, but has got some power. One of the fastest guys in baseball. When he was in the lineup for the Cardinals, their win percentage was huge. Like they constantly would win with him, but he had injury issues a lot of times. But he's a good player. He's I think 27 or 28 years old, so he's still got a lot of life left in the legs, and if he gets back healthy, man, he's gonna do some good things. I think the Yankee fans are gonna like him. He's got beautiful long hair too, by the way, Sully, which is gorgeous, gorgeous.
That he's gonna have to cut. Well,
Yeah,
not too short because they let Cole get away with almost chin length hair.
bit.
So yeah, he might be able to have like a cute bob or something, or a lob or whatever they call it.
All right,
Yeah.
JD, I am going to put you back in the bullpen
Sure,
for
buddy.
a second. I need to listen, but thanks for joining us. We got to get you on Locked On MLB 101, talk some Cardinals. I'm going to bring Ethan Smith back for a second. But Jeff Snyder, I wanted Jeff Snyder and Stacey Gotsulias on at the same time because the second biggest name move today was Joey Gallo is going to the Dodgers in exchange for, I think, a prospect named plantar fasciitis. I think that was the
Clayton
player.
Beater.
Yeah,
Close.
it might as well be. Who I believe was like a decent draft pick a couple of years ago for Los Angeles. But Jeff, tell us your thoughts about adding and Bryce Patrick's son, and the most beloved Texas Ranger since Ruben Sierra, is now going to be a pinch hitter for the Dodgers. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's weird, I guess. He's been really bad this year, but it hasn't been that long since he wasn't really bad. It might be the beard. Maybe it's the Yankees' fault that he's bad. And so if he can grow a beard back by tonight, that would be good. By the time he gets to San Francisco to play for the Dodgers, I assume he's going to be on the active roster today since they've already traded Jake Lamb and don't have anybody else they can really call up. And so either they're playing a man short or they're expecting Joey Gallo there by game time tonight. But yeah, you know what? Clayton Beater, he's been pretty bad in Double-A this year. He basically just lost command of the strike zone. His walk rate went through the roof. And so the Dodgers have a ton of pitching prospects. He's not in their top 10 pitching prospects, at least. And it's kind of taking a flyer on Joey Gallo. Usually you think of a lottery ticket kind of trade as a young, an 18-year-old guy who might turn into something. This is a 30-year-old guy who might turn back into something. And I don't think it's crazy to think Joey Gallo could be fixed because even the good version of Joey Gallo struck out a lot. And so it's not like the strikeouts are the problem. It's really that he hasn't been, he's striking out a little bit more than usual, but not a ton. He just hasn't been getting hits. And the Dodgers have a decent track record of fixing guys. And if they can't, okay, they DFA him in a couple weeks and say, oh, turns out you are bad and glad we didn't give up much for you.
Okay, Stacey, last thoughts before I send you back to the bullpen for a second. Your last thoughts of the Joey Gallo era is over at Yankee Stadium. Will he be welcomed back at Old Timers Day in a few years? And how are the Joey Gallo jerseys selling?
No, I'm actually very sad about this because I thought when he came over, he didn't have the expectation of being the guy. He was going to be a guy in a lineup full of the guys, and I figured that would help him a lot. And yes, we were expecting the high strikeouts, but we weren't expecting him to not get on base because he used to walk and he could hit home runs, and he wasn't doing those two things, but he was striking out a lot. So I'm bummed we lost an Italian because I like, using stupid memes on Twitter, but we still have Rizzo and, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm sad, but I'm rooting for him in LA. Yeah. I really am. Unless, the Yankees and the Dodgers somehow meet up in the World Series, then I won't be rooting for him. But up until then, I'm rooting for Joey Gallo to turn things around.
He's hard not to root for. He's an incredibly likable player. Well, Stacey, I'm going to put you in the bullpen for a little bit. Ethan Smith, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Pirates and the Cardinals made a trade involving Jose Quintana, but I also know all this Bryce Patrick is just chomping at the bit as his son Joey Gallo is being treated like he's a bench player. So I'm going to bring you back in, but I want Ethan Smith's take. Jose Quintana and Chris Stratton are headed to the St. Louis Cardinals to basically be pitching depth. And thoughts on that?
Well, simple trade appears to be the only trade the Pirates made, and that's the right move to be the only trade the Pirates made. Got a lot more for a guy than I expect for a guy like Jose Quintana than I expected them to at the beginning of the year. He's kind of been that revitalization story that a lot of people are hoping Gallo could be in LA. It just helps the Cardinals in the long run with two other pitchers that can help them do Cardinals things. I always attribute the Cardinals to getting these small little trades, like you talk about Soler winning the trade deadline, by the way, last year. You never know. Quintana and Chris Stratton could win the trade deadline this year. So a simple trade that got a decent return for the Pirates, and I guess we'll just go through the rest of 2022 chopping at the bit and waiting for more prospects to come up next season.
All right, and Bryce, tell us a little bit your thoughts there. And actually, Jeff, if it's okay with you, I'm going to send you into the bullpen a little bit. We are going to be bringing in fresh arm. Jake Iggy, are you there, buddy?
Yeah.
Jake Iggy, you're in the Iggy Mobile. How's it going, buddy? We'll get to you in just a second there. But Bryce, tell us what your thoughts are on the on the Gallo move, and gosh, what in the heck did the Rangers do? Anything?
Well, they've done well. No, we actually just got news. There are two breaking news things that just happened. Whit Merrifield has been traded to the Blue Jays, by the way, and the Rangers are officially not trading Matt Moore, their reliever who is having a career year, is only controlled through the end of this year. There's literally absolutely no reason on earth why the Rangers should keep him. John Gray just sustained an injury yesterday, and the early signs are not great. But my large adult son, Joey Gallo, logically, if I could be logical about him, logically, it would not make sense for the Rangers to go trade for a year of him. They're still, I think, should contend to sign him in the offseason, but their offense isn't what needs work. But no, things did not go well for him in New York. I don't think that he was used properly. He kept putting him in places in the lineup he didn't feel comfortable with, not playing him every day, putting him in left field and right field, when he's a better defender in the outfield than Aaron Judge. So I don't really get how they used him so poorly. Plus, the Yankees fans that are cruel are especially cruel, and they will very much let him know. And, there's just a really heartbreaking article that came out about him today when they're asking about him and his time being done with the Yankees. They asked if people recognized him when he went on the streets, and he said, I don't go on the streets. I don't want to go see people and face them because I know that I haven't lived up to my expectations. But I'm just flat out pissed about not trading Matt Moore. There was one of one deals that the Rangers had to make, but they did trade Matt Bush, a reliever with several years of control and a really, really interesting story, to the Brewers for a pretty decent pitching prospect and a guy who's going to be a bench player at the major league level pretty much right now. So I don't know. There was a lot of will they, won't they. Rangers were allegedly in on Juan Soto and some other guys, but just a lot of they tried, and they didn't do much.
You need a hug, man. Hey, Ethan Smith from Locked On Pirates. I'm going to put you in the bullpen for a second. And I am going to bring in Paul Holden from Locked On Rockies, who were the Rangers of last year, holding on to players they should be trading away. But before we do that, the Rangers had a frustrating trade deadline. Jake Iggy, let's just say Jake Iggy because no one can ever correctly pronounce your last name. You are the Minkiewicz of the Locked On MLB podcasters. From Locked On Red Sox, me, native New Englander, been rooting for the Red Sox since the late 70s. Let me just tell you, what are they doing? What's happening?
They're selling and buying at the same time. That's the best way that I can. Obviously, we saw them get Eric Hosmer earlier today. Very surprised that J.D. Martin's roster, with the amount we heard his name in rumors throughout this past. I really like the return that the Red Sox did get for Eric Hosmer. Also did get a number 26 prospect from the Padres system, and Hosmer fills a position at first base for the Red Sox. We've seen Bobby Dalbec and Franchi Cordero practically at first base or play baseball, frankly, so far this season. But Tupton, one of their pitching prospects, go back to the Padres. But I'm a big fan of the Hosmer trade.
Yeah, I mean, they flip Vasquez, and they get a catcher who pleasured himself in the parking lot. Then they get the late Eric Hosmer to play first base, and I just and then Tommy Pham, who wants to start a fantasy football league with the Red Sox players. I had no problem. I said that I felt the Red Sox should stand pat because I don't think they are going to win anything, but I think they're also, if they have a good August, maybe they'll climb back in, but it's not worth trading any of their top prospects for them. In a way, they stood pat because if you trade and sell at the same time, if you buy and sell at the same time, you're essentially staying in the same place, except you're changing the names around, if for no other reason to I don't know what they're doing. I have no clue. I couldn't get more confused.
That's essentially what they did. The biggest thing that I'm confused about is that back in Franchi Cordero, I was just very surprised that Dalbec was not dealt. Their bullpen has been an issue throughout this season. They've never truly had a closer. Makes zero sense whatsoever. Also, Rich Hill just got taken off the IL on a 1-year deal, 2 years old. There is guys who need pitching depth. Same with Nathan Eovaldi as well. So, some guys who we've seen be swirling around in some of these rumors are still on form. But luckily for fans that love the 2018 team, we can still serve staying with the Red Sox, and it's not a total overhaul.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, they're one good month from getting back into it, one terrible month from just calling up everyone from Worcester. Hey, Jake, we're having a little bit of issue with your connection here, so I'm going to put you in the bullpen here. And I got to bring in John Frisch, too, because there's some breaking news with the Angels. So hang tight there, Jake. But before we get there, I wanted to make sure that both Bryce Patrick and Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies could commiserate, because last year, for reasons unknown, the Rockies held on to all their trade chips. And this year, the Rangers held on to all their trade chips. Hug it out, guys. Hug it out.
The Rockies did it again. The Rockies did it. The Rockies are the only team in Major League Baseball to not make a single trade. The Colorado Rockies are 11 games below 500. They are over 20 games away from the division lead. They are over 6.5 games out in the wild card. They have 5 potential trade chips, or 4, that are all free agents next year. The Colorado Rockies have disappointed their entire fan base, and they continue to show an absolute lack of direction, an absolute lack of an understanding of how this game works. The only thing the Rockies do going into the deadline is extending Daniel Bard, who they should have traded. This is a Rockies team that now has to compete with the Padres team with Juan Soto on it. And what do the Rockies do? They commit to being not just mediocre, but the bottom of the NL West. And there's no hugs to be had. I shouldn't be this mad. I saw this coming from a mile away. But when you sit there and you watch the Padres make the biggest move at the deadline, you watch the Dodgers make multiple moves and continue to be a powerhouse, you watch the Giants make moves, you watch teams ready to go and make their teams better, but the Rockies stand pat and do nothing. The Rockies are not in a better position. They have the same team, and they're depending on nothing. They're going to let these people walk for no prospects. Mind you, the only thing the Colorado Rockies got in return for the departures of Trevor Story and John Gray, 1 draft pick. That's
you remind me of the dude from Bar Rescue right now. You just right now, the way you were just totally giving it to the Rockies, like, look at this. This bar's filthy. You call those nachos?
I don't even. I should let some people that actually made trades come in, but I had to come in and at least.
Well, I couldn't
Oh.
resist having the two of you on there.
That was
Hey, Paul,
fantastic. No,
that was fantastic. Do you want Paul? Do you want? I'm saying quit while you're ahead. I'm gonna put you in the bullpen, and Bryce, I'm gonna put you in the bullpen. John Frisch, I wonder. There's a move just happened with. I think it was Iglesias was sent
Rysel
to.
Iglesias.
Well, hold on, but we're going to also bring in Millard Thomas, my Monday Millard, my buddy, who's here every Monday, coming back. And just because I'm cruel, I'm bringing Jeff Snyder back in the mix, and we'll have the Dodger perspective on this here. By the way, what do you think about? Let's just give Paul a nice round of applause. What a wonderful rant that was. And Millard,
Hey, you know what? There are some benefits to hosting a Rockies show.
Well,
you get
yeah,
to yell on podcasts sometimes.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that and Millard Thomas is thrilled because the Rockies are doing everything in their power to make sure the Diamondbacks aren't in the basement in the National League West. I think the Diamondbacks are in a hell of a better position than the Rockies right now. But let's talk a little bit about this deal that the Angels made with Atlanta. By the way, Atlanta is just playing whack-a-mole with their bullpen. Will Smith has been traded away. They just pulled off this deal. This kind of reminds me of a few years ago when the Astros basically traded away Giles and a lot of their bullpen pieces leading into the postseason. Tell us your thoughts about this and how this makes sense for them.
It's a salary dump. Apparently, they just signed him before 2022 for 4 years. The Angels have not had a closer since they traded for Houston Street in 2014. So I'm a little bit surprised about this, but at the same time, Iglesias has $58 million left on his deal. So I imagine Perry Manassian is doing all that he can to free up space to buy the right players next season, because you all know the talk about you got to win with Ohtani, you got to win with Trout, and that window is slowly closing. So I imagine they're trying to save money wherever they can, and I think this is a big part of it.
All right, before I go into my question about Ohtani, they traded Brandon Marsh to Philadelphia, which I found strange because Brandon Marsh is still relatively young. I didn't. That wasn't a salary dump. He's only 24, 25 years old. I mean, I don't think he's going to be. He's not going to be Mike Trout, but I think he's a major league player,
right?
And they got a catcher who's not even on the major league roster. From Philadelphia. That's a steal for Philadelphia.
Well, the Angels have no catching depth whatsoever. And that guy, Logan O'Hoppe is how you say that name. He was the 84th prospect in the top 100, and I believe 16 or so for the Phillies. I could be wrong, but he immediately becomes the Angels' #1 prospect. So that tells you how our farm system is doing. And with Brandon Marsh, I think this is a move that they're going all in on Joe Adell. They probably see a higher ceiling with Joe Adell over Brandon Marsh. And I think that they really want to spend time with him and make him into something great. I'm disappointed to see Marsh go. He's a huge Angel favorite. So that was quite a surprise, not what we were expecting at all.
All right. Well, look at I want to also throw in, Millard, my buddy. So much for all my predictions that Shohei Ohtani was going to be traded. I
could have told you that.
Well, you know what? You didn't. And I blame you. Millard, what are your thoughts about some of this craziness before I get in the fact that Darren Ruff was traded for 17 players? What are your thoughts? First of all, what are your thoughts about? I think you were right. You picked San Diego for the landing spot for Juan Soto when we did our show. I said St. Louis and you said San Diego.
Yeah, I guess I'll give myself a pat on the back for prediction, right? Yeah. But I'm glad you actually brought up the Darren Ruff deal, because I got a little rant about the D-backs myself about what they've made 2 trades. They've traded David Peralta, Luke Weaver, and they've gone back awful. Peralta gets you back an 18-year-old rookie ball catcher. He's still a very productive player in his mid-30s. I know he's going to be a free agent, but Darren Ruff gets you back 3 minor league pitchers. The D-backs are starving for pitchers. Joey Gallo has been terrible over his last 150 whatever games it is. He's back the 15th second best prospect from the Dodgers. The D-backs doing? Why are they not getting back any pitchers? They trade Weaver, who is half of the headliner in that Paul Goldschmidt trade. They get back a platoon third baseman who's only going to take at-bats away from Josh Rojas. I don't know doing, but look at the rest of the NL West. The Rockies continue to be in the last place, so at least I don't have to worry about that as a D-backs fan. But the Padres are loaded up. The Dodgers continue to load up, and the Giants, any of their players really.
Yeah, the Ruff trade was startling to me. And look at Ruff, has had some good years. This is not one of them. And he's not being asked to carry the Mets. I can't believe the haul they got for him. I mean, yeah, J.D. Davis isn't going to do much, but they got 3 minor league pitchers for Darren Ruff? I mean, that's absurd. That's absolutely absurd.
They got back like a major league guy. They got back like a major cup of coffee, plus 2 other minor leaguers, and they're all like 25 and younger. Like, those are legit dart throws. If you're giving up Darren Ruff, who's like 36 years old and a 700 OPS, like that's nothing to give up if you're the Giants. You get back all that in terms of prospects and young pitching. Like, it's a great move if you're the Giants.
So Jeff, Millard, and John, I want to just bring up a couple of teams. One is in your division, John, and the other is in Jeff and Millard's division. The Padres, over the last day or so, have picked up Josh Hader, Juan Soto, Brandon Drury, and Josh Bell. And in exchange for Hosmer and what's his name, their major league reliever,
Taylor Rogers.
Right, thank you, Taylor Rogers, and also C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, who's shown some promise in the majors, Robert Glasser, Dinelson Lamet, who was a huge prospect for the Padres just a few years ago, has really fallen on rough times, and James Wood, who was great in the Oliver Stone film Salvador, Jarlin Susana, and Esteury Ruiz, players who I wouldn't know if they walked in full uniform into
Robert
my
Hassel
home
the
right
third
now.
too.
Yes, and thank you, Robert Hassel the third. So they traded away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players for Bell, Drury, Hader, and Soto. And as I mentioned before, I don't care what Baseball America and Keith Law has ranked your prospect. You throw that prospect in to get Juan Soto. What are your thoughts on those players being inserted to the Padres? And do the Brewers know something we don't about Josh Hader, who has been slumping this last month?
Well, what the Brewers know about Josh Hader is that he's going to be a free agent and he's going to want a lot of money. And, the Brewers are in a weird situation to they're in first place. They're fighting for a playoff spot, all that, but also they're a small market team. And so they have to be buyers and sellers at the same time. And, Hader and Rogers both have been less good than they might have expected to be. Although if you look at Hader, really it was 3 bad games. Other than that, he's been typical Josh Hader this year. But yeah, I mean, for Hader, I think it boiled down to he's going to make money. We can get some prospects for him and get his replacement in Taylor Rogers. Maybe they think they can fix whatever has been his issues this year. But yeah, I think really it boils down to money and nothing else.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Millard, about? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's why I feel like the Brewers actually might have won that Josh Hader deal, because when you look at it, like Jeff said, you get back his replacement, who's like middleman Josh Hader in terms of his strikeout rate. You get back Lamet, who I know has struggled a lot of years, but was a Cy Young candidate back in 2020. Plus, you get 2 prospects. Like, I feel like it all depends on how you value the closer position. I just feel like, to me, that's a more replaceable position than it's probably ever been in baseball, because there's so many guys that throw 95 to 100 miles an hour with some hard breaking, pretty replaceable position. So if you're the Brewers and you're not going to re-sign Josh Hader, getting back 4 players for one guy who 2 of them have been good but not great in terms of run prevention, I actually like that move for the Brewers. But overall, I mean, the Padres are probably the big winners of the day. I mean, if you're top 11 prospects and you net back potentially 4 or 11 players, I think that's a big win if you're the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I completely agree. But hey, John, I'm gonna finish off your segment here because we're gonna bring in Eric Heisman from Locked On Astros in just a second here. But the Angels are a non-contender this year, who desperately need to fill their coffers in their farm system. The other team with an A on their hat in the American League West traded away Matt Chapman, Chris Bassett, Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, Lou Trevino, and Matt Olson, and got back 4, 8, 12, 16 players, including some top prospects. The A's flipped, was it 6 players and got back 16.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like not just each trade that they made wasn't just they got one, pretty close to the major leagues prospect, but then they also got volume. And that sometimes is a huge part of a trade, to be able to say, hey, we're also filling our farm system up with bodies that could work, could not work, but you roll the dice or may help another player develop, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't the Angels do that?
Well, they don't have the talent to net back a bunch of players like that. I mean, if you look at the major league roster and you just see the move that they made with Noah Syndergaard, they got two pieces back there, but he's only on there for half a year, and that's the issue with signing these 1-year deals, these quick deals, these in and out deals that they've been doing the last few years. They just don't have the major league talent other than a Mike Trout or a Shohei, which they want to build around. I mean, you might see somebody like a Jared Walsh, but he's not going to get you that many pieces back. He might get you 2 or 3 players, but they just don't have that right now. And you've seen it with the A's before. Their turnover in terms of a quote unquote rebuild is like 3 years. It seems like every 3 years they can reconstruct their entire roster and have a new Matt Chapman and a new Matt Olson. And that's been their MO for a while. And so it's always a quick rebuild with them, probably because of the volume that you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, whether they're playing in Oakland or Portland or Las Vegas or Montreal or Nashville, the next great A's team is going to involve Gunnar Hoglund, Zach Lowe, Kevin Smith, Kirby Snead, JT Ginn, Adam O'Leary, Urielius Angeles, Adrian Martinez, Cooper Bowman, Luis Medina, JP Sears, Ken Waldachuk, Ryan Cusick, Joey Estes, Shea Langlers, and Christian Pache. Pache and Sears and Waldachuk are really the only ones of that group I know, but we'll all know them soon.
And probably by 2025 or something like that. They'll all be there and they'll all be tearing it up again.
And each one of those names will be flipped for 3 more.
Exactly.
It's going to be like a fire. So, hey, look I'm going to bring in Eric Heisman, but thanks for joining us, John.
Yes,
I'll put you back in the bullpen. Hey, Eric Heisman from Locked On Astros. Can you help us untangle the spaghetti that is the Houston Astros trade deadline? Because I can't keep track of all their weird moves.
I mean, they went out and traded for 3 players. They addressed 2 of their weak positions, which was catcher and also the left field or first base, depending on how you want to look at it. But overall, it was definitely a kind of weird trade deadline. But I don't know if Will Smith was the best acquisition, but they got him for Jake Odorizzi. So it wasn't I guess they could have done better, but they didn't give up any of their top talent. Like I know that the Padres gave up a lot to get their big Juan Soto, but I think the Astros did what they did to upgrade. They got Mancini to play first base, play a little bit left field. They went ahead and got Christian Vasquez to play catcher, but at the same time, they have Martin Maldonado, who they want to play only occasionally. So we'll see what happens long term, but I think the Astros made a kind of a good move. The Astros made a good move there, but we'll see if it was enough. Because I know that the the Yankees went out and made some big moves. And I know on the other side, the Braves got better, the Padres got better, and I know Sny Dogs, Dodgers are a little bit better because they got the sweet hitting Joey Gallo.
Well, tell me a little bit. I was a little stunned to see Will Smith be dealt to Houston, and the Odorizzi. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just not following the teams as close. Odorizzi just had a very good start for Houston. I was a little surprised that this was a deal that was made. I know Will Smith has not been. Will Smith's lost the closer job this year, but he is someone with playoff experience. He was on the map. I don't know if you remember this, but he actually clinched the World Series against the Astros last year. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, I remember.
But so that'll be interesting to walk around that clubhouse and say, "Hey, how you doing? Sorry I ended your season." But what are your thoughts about this bullpen depth now?
Well, I think the Astros had a surplus in the rotation, and if you're looking at the playoffs, Jake Odorizzi would not be in the playoffs roster at all, and so Dusty Baker has been kind of pushing for a left-handed reliever, and so with Lance McCullers making another start today, and with AAA Space Cowboys, he's probably on the way back to pitch mid-August with the Astros again. So you didn't need to be 6 or 7 starters deep. So Odorizzi, as hot and cold as he was a good starter at times, but he was kind of expendable. And the Astros would have to upgrade their team by giving up one of the young guys like Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, or Luis Garcia. And they decided to, instead of doing that, to go ahead and give up Jake Odorizzi instead. And so I think that's why they made that move. And they knew that Odorizzi probably needed to change the scenery because he's had some ups and downs here. So I know that was part of the move. And the Astros bullpen has actually been pretty good. They don't really need the left-handed reliever. They have Phil Maton there who's neutralizes left-handers pretty well. But Dusty Baker's old school. He likes that left-handed reliever. So that was the logic behind it.
All right. Hey, Millard and Jeff, I want your take on the trade. I thought Minnesota was going to get Luis Castillo from Cincy, but he wound up going to Seattle. But Cincinnati said, hey, we got someone else. And they sent Tyler Mahle over for Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, who leads the league in letters in his last name, and Steve Hajjar. I will go to baseballreference.com, the single greatest website, history play on earth, to see the correct spelling. I mean, no disrespect. I've never seen his name until just now, and I don't want to butcher it. What are your thoughts on that deal and the Twins getting that much-needed pitching depth that they need if they want to make a run for it?
Yeah, I like the deal.
Jump ball.
Yeah, I'll go quick, but I like the move for the Twins because they were one of the teams I thought should go after like a Frankie Montas, Pablo Lopez, just because when you look at their rotation, you're on guys like Dylan Bundy and Chris Archer, and a couple of them have had nice seasons, but there's just not a lot to look at their rotation. I just don't have a lot of trust in those guys once I get to the postseason. So I felt like they need to go out there and get a legit number 2 starter front. And Mahle's pretty good. Maybe he's not an level pitcher, but he's winner the guys that they mostly have in that rotation right now. So to slide Mahle in as maybe your one starter in that rotation, if you're the Twins, it's a win now move for a team that's already leading that division, and I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, Mahle hasn't been great this year, but his underlying numbers are pretty similar to the last couple of years. That he has been pretty good. His walk rate's a little higher, strike rate's a little lower, but his home run rate is also a little bit lower. And so, there's no reason to think that he isn't still the guy who was pretty darn good the last 2 years and kind of gave the Twins a chance to maybe buy low a little bit because he hasn't been as good. I mean, in the offseason, people were talking about Castillo and Mahle is almost like 1A and 1B as far as the Reds trade chips. And so obviously this season's performance is real and it happened, and maybe there is something behind it. But for a team like the Twins to be able to jump in and buy low on Mahle, I think it's a good move for them, and doesn't mean it's going to work out, but I think it's a good move.
I think one thing
only 27.
Yeah. So I was going to point that out, that it could work out beyond. The Twins are definitely looking at this as their window of opportunity, because they gave up 7 players today to not just pick up Mahle, but they also got Jorge Lopez, the all-star closer from the Baltimore Orioles, to give them some bullpen depth. So they feel the Guardians, and believe it or not, the White Sox are only like 2 or 3 games behind them. As everything has gone wrong for the White Sox this year, they're still 1 decent month away from climbing back into first place. So, hats off to Minnesota for saying, hey, we're going to make a run at it. Hey, we got Jeff Snyder, we got Miller Thomas, we got Eric Heisman. Just round the horn as we wrap up here. What was the trade that made you go, wait, what? The most? Like, which one caught you on your heels? Like this question is catching you on your heels.
Yeah.
Do you mean from our own team?
Well, Eric, you go first.
I mean, from our own team, I would have to say Will Smith. I mean, I knew that it was going to be a Jake Odorizzi was going somewhere. I thought it was possibly to the Cardinals, because he's the Cardinals type of pitcher. I mean, they trade for Quintana, so that was the type of pitcher they would go for. So I would say for the Will Smith trade was a little bit odd. I would say that the Angels kind of gutting. I mean, I know that they're a bad team this year, but the Angels kind of gutting it and trading Noah Syndergaard, Rafael Iglesias was kind of surprising to me. But the fact that they were even listening to Shohei Ohtani was kind of weird as well.
Yeah.
For me, I think the weirdest one was Whit Merrifield going to the Blue Jays, when it was just last week that Whit Merrifield wasn't allowed to play in Toronto because he wasn't vaccinated. So, I mean, that one, I think if you had made a list of teams Whit Merrifield might have been traded to, the Blue Jays probably would have been 29th on that list. So that one was interesting.
Yeah. Miller.
Yeah, and then for me personally, it was one that we already discussed today, because the Giants got back J.D. Davis, who is, he's had an up and down career so far in Major League Baseball, but he's definitely a lot on the Major League level. And they got back 3 minor league pitchers. I want to look at what the D-backs did with the David Peralta deal. They just got back nothing. The D4 pitchers in their organization, rookie ball catcher, when David Peralta is more productive than a Darren Ruff. He's just a straight up better player. So to see Darren Ruff, the return for Darren Ruff be a pretty solid major leaguer, plus 3 legit dart throws, that just makes me mad as a D-backs fan that we couldn't get a package similar.
The Josh Hader trade was the one that stunned me the most.
Yeah,
I know that he had a bad couple of games, and I know that the Brewers don't have the deepest pockets, but they're also in first place, and they're also they have a window of opportunity of right now, and the fact that he was dealt to another team that's supposedly a small market team, but evidently not, with San Diego. Taking a step back, they're banking that Taylor Rogers can get his act together. I think, if they let Hader walk, they'll get like a middle draft pick or something like that if they give him an offer. And this way they know they're getting a better return than if they let him walk. So it's a smart move, especially if Taylor Rogers can do the job well or someone else can fill in. We've seen so many times over the last bunch of years, a team has switched closers going into the final few months. I mean, it's so seldom that you see a team start the year with one pitcher as their closer and finish the year with win the World Series with that same closer. It happens from time to time, but there's been tons of turnover in that particular position. So I find it a little odd, but that was the trade that caught me off guard. Well, you all haven't caught me off guard. Sorry that everyone was tuned in. We did have some technical difficulties right off the top. Remember, your pal Sully is a 50-year-old doddering man. saying, I don't know how these AOL rooms work, but we managed to pull it off here. Jeff Snyder, Locked On Dodgers, Eric Heisman from Locked On Astros, Millard Thomas from Locked On Diamondbacks, and my compadre every Monday morning. Thank everyone else who stopped in to give their thoughts on the trade deadline as we just sort of did this sort of round robin pass of the baton. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you've all enjoyed listening to it. If you're listening to us on your earbuds, then I've broken this up into a couple episodes. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pod. Same handle on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Breaking down the trade deadline as it breaks down our sanity. This has been the Locked On MLB Live Trade Deadline Spectacular. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Thanks for the 12 for watching us live right now. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call me Sully.